Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's chapter 71 of Serendipity, and this one is titled Holidays Finally. Just another warning before we start, this chapter does have an adult scene which I have cut out as I usually do. I will put the links in the description for this chapter. It's quite a large adult scene that I've cut out, but it will just continue on as if it never happened in this listener audio version. You and Deku followed her back to the front door and saw her off, waving happily to the pair as they pushed offshore and left for the day. The drone of the boat engine disappeared off into the distance and you sighed happily, turning to Deku. He pulled his injured hand from his pocket to hug you, but your eyes caught sight of it and you gasped loudly. I forgot about your hand. Let me fix it up. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, Izu. That flight was so scary. You turned and ran to the kitchen to see if they had any bandages or first aid kit. In true hero family household fashion, they had a monster-sized first aid kit, and you dug through it, pulling out antiseptic and band-aids for your poorly husband. It's really not that bad, Deku said softly as he watched you get items. It's terrible. Let me fix it up. You put all the items aside and then closed the first aid container and placed it back on the bottom shelf of the cupboard and stood up. Come and sit down so I can bandage your hand up. Deku conceded and followed you to the lounge, sitting down and presenting his hand to you. Gently you took it and looked at the 4 very prominent fingernail marks in the back and sides of his hand, and a worried look crossed your face. I didn't even realise I was causing this much damage, you said sadly. If I was able to help by letting you hold my hand, then I'm happy, Deku said tenderly, looking at you from under his bouncy curls. You looked up into his eyes and softened. When I'm with you, everything ends up being not as bad as I first thought, you said, with a half smile. I would have been screaming myself to death in that plane had you not been there. Well, these marks make me happy then. He looked back down and watched you gently dab antiseptic over the wounds, and then apply band-aids to each. There, he said when you'd finished. All done. I feel better already, Deku said with a grin. You smiled lovingly at him and scooted closer so you could kiss his nose. He let you do this, then smiled lovingly and returned your kiss, kissing your nose, then your lips. The way his warm lips moved against yours caused heat to build in your core, and you shifted a little closer to him and chased his lips with yours as he pulled back. He gently wrapped his arms around you and pulled you into his lap. It was well and truly night time when you woke, and it was the coolness of the night air that pulled you from your slumber. Rolling away from Deku, you sat up and swung your legs off the bed, looking out the large window to the ocean that was a stone's throw away. The moon was full, and cast its magical glow on the waters, causing you to go into a faraway stare as you sat there idly. Deku roused and felt around for you, but being unable to feel you, popped an eye open and looked around. It's night, he croaked sleepily, sitting up and looking at your silhouette form. Want food? You asked back over your shoulder. I'll see what they have here. Deku nodded and rubbed his eyes with the palms of his hands, his curls sticking up everywhere. Cute, he giggled, twisting around to kiss him on the nose before getting off the bed and walking out into the rest of the blacked-out house. Swiping down the walls aimlessly, you finally found the light switch and flicked the kitchen lights on, then walked to the fridge. Todoroki had already organised food to be delivered to the island, and there was an assortment of delicious pastries in the fridge, both sweet and savoury. Oh, yum, you called happily. Babe, they have heaps of food in the fridge here. Oh? Deku asked as he walked down in a pair of track pants, his bare torso looking as fit as ever. Come and look, you said, still in absolutely nothing, all that ass hanging out. Deku walked over behind you and wrapped his arms around your waist, resting his chin on your shoulder as he gazed into the open fridge before you. Oh, there is so much food, he exclaimed. I know, you said happily. What one do you feel like? I'll heat it up. You each picked out a pie to eat and placed it in the oven to cook. We should go into the hot springs pool out the back later, you said. This place is so amazing. I don't want to leave. It would be peaceful to live here, Deku agreed. But we need to get back to the mainland when we're done, because we have a little one on the way. He gave you a loving look, and then reached out to pull you in for a cuddle. You returned his embrace and sighed happily to yourself. This time next year, there'll be 3 of us. After having a lovely dinner, you both hopped into the pool outside, relaxing under the palms and talking idly together. It was the most perfect end to a perfect day, minus the flight. The next morning you woke to the sun streaming in the window and looked out to see dolphins jumping past. In a flurry of excitement you jumped out of bed and ran for the front door to watch them go. There appeared to be a small pod of them, all frolicking around in the waves as they passed by, and you stood there with a grin on your face as you watched them. "What is it?" Deku asked as he walked up behind you and kissed you on the head. "Dolphins," you said with a smile, tilting your head back to look up at him. He looked down at you and then back at the dolphins, and his eyes lit up. "They have a baby with them," he exclaimed, and you dropped your head to look at them again. Just then the little one jumped out, and you gasped with excitement. "Aw, it's so cute." Deku hugged you, his hands pressing gently over your stomach. You wrapped your hands over the top of his and smiled happily. "I'll have a belly one day soon," he said softly, looking down at your very unpregnant-looking self. "I can't believe there's a little one growing in there." And there ends Chapter 71. Stay tuned for Chapter 72 coming tomorrow.